What I wanted to chat about today was we have two stragglers coming up next year. This year we don't have any stragglers. Um, Last year we had two stragglers. So we had a lunar eclipse on November 19th of last year, and then a full moon in Gemini December 18th. And the reason these were stragglers is because you have a lunar eclipse and signs that the nodes are in, since the nodes were not in North Node Taurus, South Node Scorpio, yet at that time, until January 18th of this year, and you had a full moon in Gemini on December 18th. It was supposed to be a lunar eclipse because the nodes were still in Sagittarius and Gemini. And so my talk today is about the straggler eclipses we have going on in the months of April and October. I might as well own it, but I might as well call it what I believe that it is. But I have to say that both of these are really quite scorpionic. There is a scorpionic element because it's ruled by Mars. And so both of these 2 days are really powerful, potent, scorpionic days. April 20th and October 28th. And to have partial eclipses on these days out of sign, I honestly find that really interesting. We're moving into a 7-year, which is about the quest for spiritual meaning and spiritual truth. And I will be going through an 8 personal year, and that will be about manifesting, and prosperity. And I'm not going to hold back next year. I may take down comments for some videos. I may allow the comments for some videos. I may lose or gain a following. I am not going to hold back. I may say something like, Chiron is like your hand. It bleeds, it hurts. And try to make a connection with my imagination that I can say, not holding back. And obviously, when you're doing a video with the intention of doing it for, out there, and you're putting it out there, then there's, obviously going to be a healthy boundary put in place that's going to be there. So I'm naturally going to be, healthily, restrained, and healthy restrictions and boundaries will be taking place. But anyway, what we have going on is we have some stragglers. So we have an eclipse season that begins on a really evil note, I will say, next year. We have 2 eclipses. We have 4 eclipses next year. They're occurring when the sun is in 2 signs that have a lot of positive characteristics, but these 2 signs are ruled by Mars, and they're both intense. They can be sinister, they can be evil, they can be really quite destructive. And I'm going to get into that today because I find this fascinating, and I'm making this an audio video. These 2 big lunations happening are really fascinating because they don't occur in signs that the nodes are in, which is really intriguing for me. And these 2 lunations are going to be huge. North Node will still be in Taurus up until July, and Taurus is a Venus-ruled sign, so it's nice, it's stable, it's grounded, it's earthy, it's about the present moment, it's about, it's here in your own backyard. It's about bringing people together and connection and so forth. And then the North Node will move into Aries, and it's going to be about empowerment, empowering of yourself, and really choosing your own path, lighting your own fire, and living a life of authenticity. And I will be doing a whole video on the nodes, on those nodes placement. I made trailer to it, and I'm thrilled. When I think about what I have in mind for next year. I have in mind my videos will be kind of quirky. They'll be, kind of maybe going on and on about this, illusions, this, making, embellishing things, one video outside, one part of the video inside, and more videos dealing with more aspects and sort of, like an Adam like thing, really in depth and not daily, probably not daily, but quite often, and in a new desk, in a new location, totally liberating myself within what is natural. And when I'm comfortable liberating myself towards and comfortable stretching and challenging myself, because the thing is about not being, not always comfortable, not being afraid of, getting things right or, whatever, and breaking out of that. But if, I absolutely, cannot, anyway, I'll come to those conclusions and we'll cross those bridges, but I will have that vow to myself that I will commit to that, commit to liberating myself, just like at the beginning of the year, my word was commitment for my New Year's resolution this year, and lo and behold, fast forward from January to December this year, Venus was retrograde, now Mars is retrograde, and I have committed to my goal of making astrology videos and having a YouTube channel and all those things. And I'm really hoping that I can live stream off the phone pretty soon. I have my 50 subscribers, but I don't know. So hopefully I will be able to do that, and I may do that next year and totally liberate myself in that way. But so I really want to get to these eclipses. These are not the typical eclipses. These are going to be really powerful and really intense. And, there's no laughing matter, although there's a huge part of me that just wants to disbelieve and put these two down because they're not nodally aligned. And that's very, I feel very passionately about eclipses only occurring in the signs the nodes are transiting in. But, I have to be honest and I have to admit, I just want to call it like I feel it. It's intriguing and they're stragglers, and because they're stragglers, they have their own form of unique characteristics. And, what'll happen. And I'm going to get into some history and I'm going to get into some mythology and other information. So it is just as well that this is a podcast episode and not, video recording. And so, we first have, what we first have is we have something happening on, April 20th. Now, to be fair, we are going to have multiple opportunities, so it isn't the be-all to end-all new moon in Aries. The only new moon in Aries, because that's what eclipses are, solar eclipse is a new moon, full moon. An eclipse terminology is a lunar eclipse, and so we'll probably be having a new moon in Aries, March 2023, which will be really, really nice because We're going to have probably a new moon at, very early degree Aries, which is, fresh, initiating. We're beginning at the beginning of the cycle. We're starting off from, the very beginning. Let's get going. It's Aries season, brand new astrological year. Let's, move some energy. Let's do all that. But then let's fast forward to the very end and we wrap all of it up with that 29-degree new moon. And I really want to focus on saying new moon. So I may say, oh, it's an eclipse, but I may say new moon. It's a new moon, it's a new moon. And I may say that repeatedly because of my belief system around that. So that new moon, that new moon at that end of that season is going to be huge. And, some initial things what'll be happening is it'll be 29 degrees. 29 degrees in astrology is the anaretic degree and is that culmination degree where everything is just, that pot is just boiling over with just, intensity. And you're wrapping up and all these things are really prevalent. And you're talking about a soul coming in with wisdom and it's just that pot is going to be really cooking up, and with all the greens and with all the, flames, and Aries is a sign that at worst can be really destructive and, impulsive and, just really get at people that bother or irk or irritate them, and at worst with the worst Aries, not that I'm one, but I knew an Aries person whom I felt like, I had to, I felt like I was walking on eggshells because I did not know when she would blow her top and have a meltdown. I really didn't, and, it was, it was scary, and at that time, the south node of the moon was in Aries, and the south node is what we are supposed to be releasing in order to move forward into the new moon, or, the north node traits, and it was in Libra, which was about diplomacy, collaboration, connection, and peace. And the south node in Aries is really about releasing any kind of, and, it's so opportune that I'm speaking about this because the reason why I am is because the south node is going to move into Libra, the north node is going to move into Aries next July. But the south node in Aries is releasing any kind of system, any kind of setup where you are forced to go your own way, be independent, and just really getting into survival mode and having to, take that, claim your territory, get a slice of bread in desperate situations. Sort of like a materialistic, always having to fight for, what you want, etc. And, I was knowing this person when the south node was in Aries, and the south node can point to the bright sides of that sign, because it's what we're coming in with. What you come in with as a child, when you were born, and those traits that are inherent within you. And South Node, that sign really plays out when you're in your early childhood. Those themes are really prevalent at that time. But, collectively, it looks at the lower, more darker sides of that South Node placement. And there's also a bright side of the South Node. And that Libra North Node that it was in place at the time, we needed to get there and balance that out with the South Node by looking to the higher qualities of Aries, the high qualities of Libra, and so these overlap and intertwine, they balance each other out. Aries and Libra are opposite signs. That's where the nodes are in. They always travel opposite one another, they always move backwards, and they always move retrograde one another. So that's how they move. It's sort of a Vedic astrological take on what we consider to be astrology, really. So, you know, and it's really prevalent and really important. And so we have these, you know, we have this placement. And could this eclipse echo what went on? What went on? Could this new moon, I want to say that again, could this new moon echo those themes at that destructive level, and trigger and bring to light situations back again of you knowing really powerful, intense people that were really formidable and forces to be reckoned with. And I should mention that April 20th is home to the birthday of AH, also known as, you know, Adolf Hitler. And I really don't want to get into this because it is such a sensitive matter. It really, really is. And so I just wanted to factually say that that is what it is, because that's the truth, and I am not here to dance around the truth. That is just the fact. That is just how it is. You know, but if you consider all of the things that he has done in his lifetime to destroy so many people, you know, group of people, and, you know, the power of, you know, that fighting spirit, and, you know, wanting to be high and mighty and, you know, be, you know, on top of, you know, the world, so to speak, and really, really go after what you want in ways that hurt other people in those really harmful and harrowing ways. And so thinking about what he has done to all those people, and of course standing up on a podium in front of people and, you know, yelling, shouting, and really persuading and commanding of them to, you know, join him, and sort of, you know, brainwashing the people in that way, you know, that he was, you know, for good, for, you know, for peaceful, for liberation, and, you know, but really it was, you know, not that way. And so, you know, the, 29 degrees is that end number. It is intense, and we do have that going on in Aries. It is about initiating, setting up new things, you know, initiating brand new things around a new moon, around that time, and really being the person that you want to be in your lifetime, and getting true to what you want, and picking a course, picking a lane, and heading in that direction. And I'm here to just talk about the themes, and we'll get into the more specific stuff when that time comes, when we get closer to that. And that'll be really, really interesting. And it's also the day annually when the sun moves into Taurus, and the moon also moves into Taurus. So, you know, it's sort of the cosmos just sort of double book themselves. And so I may bring that aspect and element to that as well. Say, okay, well, this is kind of a mixed day, mixed energies between the Aries and the Taurus. And so I may say, oh, well, you know, sun and moon in Aries, we have that eclipse, and then we sort of cool off ground, get centered, get peaceful in Taurus immediately after, when the sun and moon move into Aries, so, or Taurus. So it's really quite interesting, because only 10 days later, on April 30th, which is the birthday of a close family member of mine, that we had a solar eclipse in Taurus, April 30th, 2022. And April 20th, we have one, but, it's almost like, darn, I was really hoping for a solar eclipse in 2023, but darn, we have a 29 Aries eclipse. Well, that's, there's something to that, which is pretty, it really is like you're just opening the door. Let's dive deeper. Let's go into that room more and uncover all this stuff and uncover all the information. And this is just a, sort of whetting your appetite, getting you interested in in this kind of thing. So we have this going on, and planes and warfare in the sky. And I just want to make another reference, and I don't know why I have this in mind, but the reference I want to make is the rain in Spain will fall gently on the plain, and maybe that is after we move past this new moon in Aries, this final second new moon in Aries, into this Taurus energy, which starts immediately after. So it's an ending and a beginning that day, and that new moon is interesting. And so we've had the new moon, and then we have the eclipse in a way, and then we have a sort of culmination. So it's more of a culmination rather than a fresh new beginning there. And I am really hoping that there is going to be a new moon in Aries in March next year, because I think that would really serve us all well, and I would certainly prefer that. And I want to look at the light and the dark of all the astrological events. That's going to be releasing any kind of negative power or force in our lives. It can be, so many different things. And sword and, the blade with the sword and the shield, and putting up your shield and fighting, and, armor, and sort of the blood from all that warfare, and then coming to terms with that. So those are just some statements, that I just want to make. They may not make sense, but they do come up. And then the other sort of, straggler, eclipse that was going on that, that sort of does not follow, because, Pluto moves into Aquarius, and so Aquarius does not want to follow, doesn't want to go by the book. This rules, eclipses only occur in the signs and nodes are in. Well, I want to kind of change that. I'm really interested to see if there's anything going on with Jupiter and Pluto during those eclipses, and Uranus with the next eclipse that I'm going to talk about in on the 28th of October. And so this eclipse on the 28th. Now, these are just my thoughts. These are just my initial thoughts. I have to be, be humble in all that the respect and, sort of you're backing yourself up in the condolences that there is that I have not done, really, investigated and found out, really, dug into these, these lunar events yet. And so, these are just my general thoughts, and I, there's really no, this isn't one of my research-based videos. So, a lot of the videos on my channel are. However, these are just, some thoughts and feelings that I have. That's all that this is. And so I feel that the October 28th event that will be going on, that full moon, that powerful full moon, I'll just call it a powerful full moon, that partial eclipse, would have to be because it doesn't fall in totally aligned signs. And so, yeah, the two eclipses that make sense in my mind are one on the lunar eclipse in Scorpio on May 5th, and the solar eclipse in Libra on October 14th. Those follow the rules. It's as if, like, the moon was saying, okay, I'm gonna, follow the rules, but then I'm gonna kind of not follow the rules. I'm gonna, let's see what I can do to break the rules here. I find that really interesting. So yeah. So it's so funny that we have the nodes moving into North Node in Aries, South Node in Libra in July 2022 or 2023. But then, and I find this just amazing, that let's see here. We have 1, 2, 3. So 3 months later, near the end of the month, we have this, this full moon in Taurus going on. And so, that was the day when Jupiter, the great benefic, the planet of, expansion, abundance, joy, faith, and growth, moved into Pisces, which was, about, compassion, compassion, our hearts, and having faith, and surrendering to the divine, and very, different than this kind of thing, because Jupiter at that point will be in Taurus, and I just wonder if Jupiter will be aspecting this, full moon on the 28th. That's sort of the default. The default is new moon, full moon, and I'll just refer to that. Because I want to be authentic and, true to myself with what I say here. So, it's so funny that we have this going on, and yet the nodes have moved on, but we're still dredging up the old stuff. We're still kind of fixating and sort of clearing up the last bits of stuff that need to be cleared up. Kind of like when Pluto moves into Aquarius March of 2023, and then it retrogrades back into Capricorn, and then it sort of goes in and out. And so we have this, new world and, liberation and, freedom for all, and we're, advanced technology, and we're upgrading. But then back into Capricorn, structures, routines, how things have always been done, the traditional way, serious and somber, all those themes, and we're sort of clearing that up at Pluto at the anaretic degrees, the end degrees of Capricorn. And so, the old and the new, and the old and the new, to make sure, Pluto's trying to make sure that I'm personifying Pluto at this point, trying to make sure that, okay, are we fully ready to move into the new age? Maybe are we fully ready to move into the new world, the new Earth, the age of Aquarius? Because I don't know if I'm making this up, but maybe, just maybe, when Pluto moves into Aquarius, it is really the sort of the thrust and the initiation into the Aquarian age. And so we have this old with the new, and so this full moon occurring on the 28th is, so funny, because just when we thought we moved out of needing to really do some serious work on the Taurus Scorpio areas, wait a second. Because there's more, and then the thing going on April 20th, it's like, we're not ready for that yet. It's not time yet, and so it's just sort of, start getting a, it's almost as if, I was, supposed to come to the party at a certain time, but I decided to come really early and help prep a little bit. It's like, it's so funny. And I may get into the technicalities and the specifics of why that's going on. Like, why is there this going on April 20th and the thing going on the 28th? I really don't get it, and it does amaze me. And so I really want to hopefully connect the dots and draw a bridge and get into that. And put some attention on that and clarify that, hopefully, if I can, because I do feel passionate at this moment for you to understand. I just want to say, oh, this is going on, and then, I don't get it, I don't believe it, then, you don't believe it. So, yeah, and I strongly believe that if you're talking about something that sort of derives from what would make sense, what would be the norm, okay, then you had better have some, explanation as to what that is. Because just to put that blanket statement out there, well, explain. I want to believe it, but it's not right for me to believe it at this point. I sort of need enough stuff for me to, okay, well, that makes sense. And, it's just so funny how it happens. Kind of like when there's, you have a planet and it sometimes makes aspect to another when it's out of sign, because either that planet that is being aspected is at the very early degrees of one sign, very end degrees of another. And so, for instance, this recent new moon that we had in Sagittarius on November 23rd, we had, I think maybe it was the Sun in Sagittarius, trying Jupiter, which was in Pisces. And we know that Sagittarius and Pisces makes a square, because those are two mutable signs. They're 90 degrees apart from each other. They have difficulty in their compatibility relationship. But it's really interesting because the trines is really a very nice aspect, very harmonious. Things go well with the trine. So, very interesting. And so, just when we think we're going to be done and finished with dealing with needing to balance the Scorpio themes with the Taurus themes, there's one more little thing, one more last ditch, like last minute, kind of like if you do your last minute shopping. We're going to the Taurus Scorpio store, and we're doing some last minute shopping before we leave, and we don't come back until 9 years later, and then we deal with, those eclipses again in the South. And it's in Taurus, fourth in Scorpio, which is a different, we're dealing with some really different themes with the North Node in Scorpio, which I have been very interested in as of late. But so, what's going on is, full moon in Taurus. It deals with, I have a whole video where I talk about the lunar eclipse, and a lot of the content that I said in that video is really prevalent to this. It deals with needing to come home to ourselves, to understand our values of what's really important to us, to find ways of redefining security, to come back into connection with Mother Nature, to go slow and steady, to get grounded, and to, stabilize our emotions and walk with grace and be very conscious of our actions and really have, step into the energy of peace and self-love and self-respect, with that, North Node in Taurus, which will not be present at that time. And so the Sun will be in Scorpio, which deals with a lot of 8th house, which is shared resources, inheritance, occult topics, more taboo topic. Scorpio deals with the deep, the dark, what's underground, what is, really, like things like manipulation and, the darker aspects of human nature. It deals with that too. And it deals with taking power where we've been treated badly, hurt in the past, and suffered a lot of pain and depression, and where we really need to face our shadows. Scorpio does look for those dark traits of people, the dark sides of, what are your motives? What are your reasoning behind this? What's the true, deep, dark-seated, intention behind what it is you do? It also, in that way, corresponds to psychology, and the work of Carl Jung. So, we do have the, full moon in Taurus. There will be those kind of aspects going on with that. This video is just kind of general, just the themes of these signs, as opposed to the more specific details of the conversations that the sun will be having with other planetary, celestial bodies, other energies and aspects going on, and astrological moves occurring that particular day, which really meld with and go with the energy of those lunar events. So, those two eclipses and that, May 5th one, I don't want to, and, by no means do I want to neglect the other two eclipses. Quite the opposite. In fact, quite a 180 to all, I'm talking about these because I find it really interesting. But, the lunar eclipse in Scorpio is, obviously talking about the Scorpio themes, already gave that, overview. And, the solar eclipse in Libra on October 14th, deals with, releasing, being fair and being diplomatic all the time, and being a people pleaser, and certain things in life having to be a certain way and having to be fair, etc. And so I'll definitely, hopefully, maybe go into some depth when we get to those lunar events. But this is just a very general preview, of where with the solar eclipse in Libra, where we've been, enmeshed, entangled, not allowed to stand on our own 2 feet, make our own decisions, and live our own life. And how is that not serving us, really? So, so I really thought that I would make this audio recording, and I hope that you enjoy. Please subscribe to my channel and hit the bell so that you get notified. And I recommend also that you hit the like button because that gets it out to more people. That comes highly recommended by a lot of content creators, including myself. So thanks for watching. Bye for now.